Lancaster Criminal Justice Commission meeting is come to order. Could we have a call to order, please? Roll call, I'm sorry.
All righty. Commissioner Vieira?
Present.
Commissioner Johnson?
Present.
Commissioner Greer is absent. Commissioner Vice Chairman Christ?
Present.
Commissioner Brown?
Present.
Chairman Augusta?
Present.
Thank you.
Public business from the floor, agendized items.
We have no speaker cards for public, for agendized items.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on now to the consent calendar. First issue that we under consent calendar, item number 1, approval of the minutes from the September 9th, 2009 meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes September 9th, 2009. Second.
I'm trying to figure this thing out.
I think we're...
I'm not seeing anything.
Try it now.
There's one absent.
Want us to do it again?
Yeah.
We're voting on the minutes.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you, gentlemen.
We now move on to new business items. New business item number 1 is consideration of selection of new chairman and vice chairman for the Criminal Justice Commission. This was an issue that we raised for discussion purposes at the last meeting and placed on the agenda for this meeting. The purpose for raising that issue last time was a recognition that this commission has now been in operation for a little over a year, and that at the 1-year point is, in my experience, having chaired many different kinds of committees, was that the commission itself or the committee itself benefits from a change in leadership, and that it commits each and every one of the commission members or committee members because it gives everyone an opportunity to lead and provide some direction and some wisdom to the for the next year of events. The issue that was raised last time was whether or not the commission had the authority to do that, and a check and review of the bylaws revealed that the commission chair is in fact determined by the commission members. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So with that in mind, we'd like to have a discussion about this under new business item number 1. We talked about it last time. And if there is a discussion that we need to have, we should have that, and I'm prepared to make a proposal. Any discussion?
Only comments that I would have is that I think this is a very good group. I think all have done a very outstanding job, and any individual, I think, could step into that position. So.
Okay. Dr. Brown, you okay with that?
Nothing to add. I appreciate your comments and time served.
Okay. That being said, I would like to make a motion that Vice Chairman Christ be considered for selection as the new chairman of the Criminal Justice Commission. I also believe that the time ought to be for 1 year. But that's my motion, if I had a second.
Second?
Okay? Vote.
Should I vote on this?
Yeah, it's appropriate for you to vote. There may be, as it relates to Robert's Rules of Order, opportunities for other nominations. If there are any, if there aren't any, then the opportunity there is to vote. And you're more than welcome to vote. There is no issues with voting for yourself.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Outstanding. Now we need to entertain a motion for selection for the vice chair, and maybe a discussion prior to that.
I'd like to thank you for being chairman. I think you've taken us to great lengths to get us to where we are now. I really appreciate what you've done for the Criminal Justice Commission and all the things that you've taught me. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'd like to make a motion that David Vieira become the vice chair for the Criminal Justice Commission.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Marv. I know you're going to be a great chair of this commission, and David, congratulations.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your show of confidence.
Let's move now next to new business item number 2, determination of the Criminal Justice Commission meeting in November. Apparently, November the 11th is Veterans Day. City Hall is closed, and so we need to decide whether to set a new date for the November meeting or cancel the November meeting.
Do we know whether or not there's any pending items in November?
Well, we typically do the reports, and I know Mark has been diligently working on the I don't know what the new name is, the Eye in the Sky. I think they've renamed it. There may be some reports going on. It is typical the council will take a week or a council meeting off in November as well as December, so it wouldn't be inappropriate not to have the meeting. But if there is a need for the meeting, we can maybe call one if that's necessary. Or just by canceling it now doesn't mean you can't call one in the future.
Is the council meeting that, usually the council meets the day before our meeting, are they?
Correct. It is the 10th. The council meeting will be the 10th, and they will not be having a second meeting in November.
I see.
I would just add a comment. I can, by the peculiar nature of my work, I can always schedule this day off and form my schedule around that after the fact. It's very hard to change. And at this time, I have no idea what my November schedule is, except that I am not working on the 11th, so for whatever that's worth. It'd be hard for me to, at this point, commit to another day.
Any other thoughts?
Sounds like a good suggestion, just to maybe cancel the meeting and, if need be, maybe schedule that as needed.
Seems pretty reasonable.
Okay with that.
Do we need to run a motion on this, or can we just decide?
A motion would be fine. I'm sure we'll take a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we cancel our November 11th day in honor of Veterans Day.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, carries by motion. The November 11th meeting, the November meeting of the Criminal Justice Commission will be canceled with the provision that will be rescheduled if it's so needed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. New business item number 3, Section 8 status. So we'd call upon Mr. Lee DeRico, Contract Services Administrator. Thank you, Lee.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just to bring you up to speed, for 6 weeks now, we've been working on some issues related to Section 8 and how they implement their program in our community. And approximately 3 weeks ago, we received a copy of their proposed changes for their administrative plan that has to be approved by the County Board of Supervisors. And we got that about 2 days before it was actually going to the Board of Supervisors. And in review of that, we definitely have some issues that we identify and changes of the that mainly affect the investigators' protocol and limitations on the investigative ability of their own agency to work within law enforcement in the city of Lancaster. Based on that, Mr. Bozigan, along with Mr. Williams from the city of Palmdale, contacted the Supervisor Antonovich, who then tabled that item and pulled it from the agenda so we could address it at a later date. So based on that, we got together. I actually went down to the city of Palmdale, got together with their public safety people and the city manager, as well as met with Mr. Bozigan, and we formulated a agenda for a meeting that we had last Thursday with the executive director, Mr. Sean Rogan, from the LA County Community Development Commission, who's in charge of the Section 8 program, the Housing Authority, his assistant executive director, who was just recently hired, Dorian Jenkins, and a couple of their folks from their assisted housing division that manages the Section 8 program. And specifically in the protocols that they were implementing, restrict the hours and times that the investigators can contact people, very strict guidelines on when they can include law enforcement, when they can provide information to law enforcement, when they can work collectively with the Sheriff's Department to identify problems at these locations. And all that's come about from some litigation that's occurred with an agency out there, an advocacy agency called Neighborhood Legal Services, who's basically, filed some lawsuits against the investigations unit on how they handle these cases out in the field. From that, I think it was a very contentious meeting, let me put it that way. It was initially, and then I really believe through the couple hours that we had the meeting, we worked through some of the issues, and Mr. Rogan has agreed to come back, meet with us further, and also meet with his staff to address the problems. I distinctly got the impression throughout the meeting that at a certain point he realized that there were things that he did not know, that were occurring internally within his agency, and those will be addressed because we're going to insist on it. In the meantime, the protocol that was put in place is basically on hold. Those changes in the admin plan are going to go forward for approval from the Board of Supervisors. They'll make a determination on that, but then again, we can address that and augment that as needed as we work through this process. But again, directly, they were specifically identified to deal with the investigations process, and it is my belief completely to inhibit the ability of the Sheriff's Department and the investigators and parole and probation and all the public agencies, safety agencies here in the city to operate collectively to rid these problems. So that's it. That's where we're at. I will come forward to you periodically to bring you up to speed on the progress of that. We have a fantastic relationship with the investigations unit. They are all retired deputies that are highly qualified guys that are very proactive. We have ownership from the Sheriff's Department and all the other public agencies here within Lancaster dealing with these issues, and we want to maintain that and keep that going because it's had a great cause and effect here in the community. Okay. Any questions?
Do you work with Jim as far as seeing, like when we get calls out, how many come from Section 8 homes?
Right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing a statistical comparison as far as bookings and arrests. They have come up with a system they've implemented through the Sheriff's Department, through the Cops Bureau, at a Century Station where they are doing their own internal tracking. I'm going to work that, implement it from the Sheriff's Department side with their crime analysts on the bookings to do a comparison. This is what I told them I'm going to do. I'm going to see how effective your tracking is compared to what we can do here locally, because I still truly believe that if we manage this program and some of these issues on the local level, I think we're going to be a lot more effective at doing that. And I think that's going to probably glare out there that they are not actively handling those issues, whereas we know from a proactive side from our community that we are identifying and handling those issues. The majority of the the referrals that come through the Sheriff's Department, probation, parole, or through the community hotline. But they've even recently removed the hotline number that's everywhere, even in the paper every day on a daily basis, from the investigations unit's office into another office. It's being answered by a foreign exchange student. Okay. In the interim time since that phone line's been moved, the investigators haven't gotten one referral for activity occurring out in the community. Well, we know that the most active contact for that hotline, which is a countywide line, phone line, come from the Antelope Valley. So our community is very well versed in who to contact as it relates to issues. That's being fixed as we speak. Okay, that phone line's going back into the investigations unit, and they're restoring some of those issues that were brought forward last Thursday. So I think it's going to be a process, because we all know as the bigger the bureaucracy, the more the process that's involved. I actually believe in talking to Mr. Rogan that he is a law and order guy, that he definitely, he talks the talk. We'll make sure he walks the walk, so to speak, and there's going to be accountability there. Now, there are some issues with some middle management folks and everything that have been ongoing for years. We've been talking about some of these issues for the over 7 years that I worked for the agency, and then this time we need to we're done with it. We need to fix it.
Go ahead.
No,
Mr. Chris, one of the things that we do is we cross-check the addresses given at booking against our list. One of the ways to be able to ensure accuracy of that list, or the cross-checking that goes on, is we have to make sure that the list that we get from them is current. Because if we're working with an old list, where we have a real problem ensuring that the addresses given by the person at time of arrest match on that list. So that's one of the things we do. One of the things that we found is, as we run a query of that, they run about somewhere between 4 and 5% of all of our arrests correlate to a Section 8 address.
I will tell you that based as far as dealing with the timely and true time on the list, we have an analyst that the City of Lancaster shares the cost of with the Board of Supervisors office that's implanted in the Section 8 office and the local office in Palmdale, and we can extract that list now anytime we want it based on current addresses. One thing I've asked beyond that is that we have also listing of what locations are on the current list for housing quality standard inspection by the agency, because that will tell us that there is a participant that's already residing in that unit that hasn't been contracted yet. Okay. The other part of that is that we need to make sure that when we extract information from the bookings, that we're extracting the appropriate information through the booking process. So one thing I asked the captain 2 weeks ago actually, is that the deputies actually ask, other than just going by the ID, where the individual that's been arrested actually puts their head on a pillow at night. Okay, and so those are the things that we're working at in partnership together to make sure that all the data that is provided to Jim is up to date and accurate. Okay, so it's a process again, but we're again not going to back down either, I'm sure. Okay, we're just going to move forward with this.
Can you come back periodically and tell us what's...
I can come back anytime you want me to, especially
Every
in
month.
regards to this issue. Okay?
We'll plan to put a regular agenda item for Lee to update the commission.
That'd be great.
Lee, you know that Section 8 is a huge issue for the commission as well as for the residents here in the Antelope Valley, and I just want to say on the record that we, on behalf of this commission, we thank you for the way your commitment to this program and the way you very aggressively monitor it and keep it under control, and we thank you very much for all your hard work.
Well, thank you, sir. I mean, the good thing that came out of the meeting, it's interesting because Mr. Jenkins, the newest assistant executive director, didn't even realize I had worked for his agency for 7 years. So he was trying to figure out where I had all the information I had from and who was supplying it to me, rather than dealing with whether or not it was true or not. It's like, hey, I just left there 6 weeks ago. Okay, this is things we've been talking about forever. So I mean, I from that standpoint, things are going to be out. They're going to be transparent. We're going to talk about those issues, and again, in Mr. Rogan's defense, too, he's new, too, as well. So from the administrative side, those folks do not have a history there. So this is all new for them as well. So we just got to give them the benefit of the doubt at first, and then and work through the problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll next move to commission reports. Commission report number 1, the crime statistics report. I'm assuming that, Mr. Cobalt, are you going to make that presentation, sir?
Sure. Apparently, we're having some server problems. They're in the process of migrating from the north side of the building to the south side of the building, and I can't get on my server right now to be able to show you what we've done. But I have prepared a map, and I can get, or you've got the hard copy in front of you. The one good piece of news in this map is that there were no homicides during the reporting period. The thing that I would bring to your attention is, over the last couple of periods that we've been meeting and reporting to the Commission, one of the things that I've noted to you is reporting districts 1121, 1135, and 1137 are continually in the top 3 of our mix, and you can see from the map that's in front of you right now that bears true for this reporting period too, 1121, 1135, and 1137. We also see the addition of 1132 and 1127 on there. 1127, I believe, popped up last reporting period. But again, as you look at the types of crimes that are there, you see a little different type of criminal activity going on between 1121 and the 1135, 1137 side of town. So I just point that out. That's about all I've got. Everything that I have with regard to that I have prepared for this, I'll give to the record keeper so that she can make it part of the public record.
Captain Anderson, on it's my understanding the Sheriff Department's going to do a survey on Section 1137. Is that true?
Yeah, we have a new target area now, which Cops Bureau, of course, is going to be working with us in, and it's roughly the area between Sierra and 10th West and Lancaster, and I believe Jay. Is that correct, Don?
Actually, it's going to go between J and K and Sierra and 10th, but it's also going to incorporate some added patrol in the downtown area. But the specific zone where they're going to do the surveys is going to be between south of J to K and Sierra to 10th.
One of the things we found about this particular area, and the reason we chose this particular area to do the survey in and also to target as our next area, is that we found, I think through general knowledge on the part of our deputies working the field out there, that we have some particular problems with many of the residents in that area. It's a gang-infested area, and many of the people that we arrest for crimes, even out in other areas in the city, actually live in that area. So what we're going to try and do is target this particular area, get down to what we believe is kind of the root area or root cause of some of these problems, and see if we can attack it that way, as opposed to going to specific areas where these crimes are occurring, because we know where these bad guys are going back to. So that's kind of our plan on this. We'll see how it works. I have a feeling that this is going to be another big push forward in taking care of that Part 1 crime rate.
Could you give us an update on that, the community program that we had at the Lincoln School?
Yeah. Normally we go into those particular meetings
having done a lot of homework and expecting that, the individuals who have a lot of complaints are going to come out and be the most vociferous. What we found is, they filled out some cards and asked us some tough questions, but my best description of what it ended up being by the end of the evening was a love fest. It was. There was a great deal of appreciation shown for the hard work that our deputies put in that area, and many of the residents told us that they've seen a very distinct difference, and they had nothing but good things to say about the deputies that worked so hard in that area. They made, I believe, somewhere in the area of 470 arrests in that area, along with the other things that they work on in terms of taking care of some of the, quote, broken windows type problems that occur in those types of areas. So it was a great meeting. We had a really good turnout. There was over 100 people there, and we found that we got a really, really positive reaction from the residents in the area.
Thank you.
If I might add to that, the target areas normally go 3 months, and at the end of the first 3-month period on that target area, we looked and we didn't have the result that we wanted, so we hung in there for another 3 months. So we spent 6 months in that, that 1137 area, that east side area, and made sure that we had a significant drop in crime and that the area was cleaned up appropriately before we moved on. So we're going to see that more and more as we go into these areas. Just because it's set for 3 months, we're not just going to walk if we're not seeing, the result that we wanted. So.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to Commission Report number 2, Report on Neighborhood Impact Program. I'll call upon Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I'm pleased to inform you that October 3rd we had another one of our paint days, our third annual paint day. We painted 31 homes, 21 in the Trend track over at 40th Street West and Avenue L, and then 11 in the Paiute neighborhood. That brings the total the last 3 years to 130 homes that we've painted. Most of those in the Paiute neighborhood, and then just now expanding out into the Trend track. Central Christian Church is heading up the work of neighborhood impact over in the Trend area. They're also establishing a new community house there this month. So we're excited to see that expand. The city was helpful in that same day they provided dumpsters for the neighborhood. And so with the help of volunteers and then also just residents, we're able to remove a large amount of debris from the neighborhood there, and it was a great day. We had, I don't know if I mentioned, we had between 600 and 700 people that came out that day to paint those homes, and met that morning together, and then broke from there, and just couldn't have been better. Had a great time with the neighborhood and with neighbors, so we continue just to kind of move forward in that. The paint day, I do want to draw attention to, that's just one thing that we do during the year. It ends up kind of being probably the biggest single day project with the most people, and so it gets a lot of attention. But there are daily activities that happen there in the neighborhood, after school activities, programs for kids, adults, in the Paiute neighborhood, and then that's what's developing in the Trend track. So that's kind of the update from this last month.
I'd like to comment on it. I met with Chris and Concepcion Harris from Central Christian, and the organization that this takes is just tremendous, and to organize individuals where groups of 20 go in and paint the houses is just tremendous, and I just think you're doing a great job for the community. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to also comment along the same lines. Chris has just done a phenomenal job consistently, and for just an extended period of time. He's committed to this community. I think the difference that you make in this community on a daily basis is incredible, and I just want to thank you very much for that.
If I could jump in and also note that not only for the work that he's been doing, but also that the leadership that he's shared with other people doing the same thing that they're doing is next week we're actually going to have a press conference, and we'll make sure you guys are on that list to attend and participate, of actually increasing the program to other neighborhoods and increasing the Impact House program. So they'll be doing a press conference announcing that I think there's maybe 2 new Impact Houses that are following suit with what Mr. Johnson has done. So it's becoming a very, very successful program that is, there's the one pebble that hits the water, and then it touches everybody, and it's increasing. So it's a nice addition to the community. So well done.
Well stated. We'll now move to public business from the floor on non-agendized items.
We request any person who would like to address the Criminal Justice Commission on non-agendized matters to complete a speaker card. You will find speaker cards on the back table of the council chambers. Additionally, we respectfully request that you fill out the cards completely and print as clearly as possible so that if necessary, the commission or city staff will be able to contact you either by phone or mail. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. When you approach the podium, please notice that there are 3 lights. The green light comes on when you begin, the yellow light will come on when you have 30 seconds remaining, and the red light will come on when your 3 minutes are up. We ask that you be considerate of the allotted time to allow other speakers to have their 3 minutes as well. Following this procedure will allow for a smooth and timely process for the commission meeting, and we appreciate your cooperation. State law prohibits the Criminal Justice Commission from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter will be referred to staff. Thank you.
At this time, I call upon Mr. David Paul.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. It was very rough on me last night to leave City Council, but I had a prior commitment, and I attended a wonderful lecture given by Captain Anderson at the Sheriff's Department on ethics. I'd like to talk a little bit about that tonight, this morning. I asked him in the lecture when we were talking about the relaxed standards of the Sheriff's Department if the admitted drug use of Barack Obama would disqualify him from employment in the Sheriff's Department, and that's a whole other issue, but I want you to know that last year at this time I started to get ahead of this medical marijuana issue, and to great risk to myself and my reputation, I sought out Ms. Victoria Zavala, who I didn't know at all, and tried to get a handle on what this problem is, understanding many of the issues that go along with it. And she responded in kind by giving me complete and total access to her operation. She has the highest standards of ethics and tries to abide within the law, and because of that, she has patients that trust her and are also trying to abide by the law. And this is what I'd like you all to understand. In the law of unintended consequences, what you're going to find, what I found, the names on her rolls of patients include the spouses of city staff, the sons and daughters of sheriff's deputies, people that work at the hospital, people that work in the school, people that go to church, elected board commissioners from this valley. So when you are going to make them fingerprint themselves and put their names on rolls, that's going to put these people that are trying to do it right further down into the system. And you also need to consider the ethics of these people that are looked upon as less than ethical beings. And they hold these secrets. And if you crush these people, you know, they're going to out people. And it's just, it's crazy. I saw Vice Mayor Ron Smith promoting the artists' loft downtown, and we want the avant-garde. And that's all true. I like it. See, but I grew up in the 60s in the park across from my house. We had the beatniks. These were the predecessors to the hippies. And they'd sit out there and play their bongo drums, and there was that strange smell. That's what artists do. So you can't have this heavy-handed policy of suppression, and, you know, because you're going to have the smells lofting up from the artist's loft over there. or you're going to drive those people away. And that's what I'm saying. Let's have some common sense and reason. Allow me to participate in this process as I've been trying to do. Thank you.
Okay. Going to move on now. No other speakers from the floor on non-agendized items. I would just like to, in my final comments for the meeting today, I would just like to thank the members of this commission and the mayor for being allowed to be a part of this. It's been a great experience. I think that the Criminal Justice Commission has accomplished a lot within the year, but there's also a lot of good work left to be done by the commission. And I look forward to the new leadership and working with this commission in accomplishing the goals and objectives that we have set upon for ourselves to do. So thank you guys very much. I really, really appreciate that. Any other comments anybody has before we adjourn the meeting? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just before you close, a couple items. One, I wanted to give you an update on the marijuana issue, as Mr. Paul discussed. It took place last night at the council meeting, as well as introduce Britt, that she'll be taking over Terry's spot as the clerk and as the minute taker, as well as the agenda creator. So Terry is on to greener pastures as moving into the Human Resources Department, and Britt, who works for the city clerk and is the deputy city clerk, will be serving us as our clerk during these commission meetings. So I'd like to welcome Britt. She is very capable, very qualified, and looking forward to working with all of us. The other note is the update on the marijuana issue that took place last night. Just as an update, the council voted 3-2 to form a committee, or a committee to look at the formation of an ordinance. They were aware of the recommendation the commission made and were presented that at their meeting. The mayor had requested that he have authority to appoint a member from the Criminal Justice Commission, as well as potential other members from other commissions. I think in his mind he might have been thinking of the Planning Commission with regard to some zoning issues associated with the distribution of marijuana for medical purposes. So as an update, that's the process it's leading down. Dave McEwen will be heading that with Rex, and I believe Ron Smith was tasked with the other committee member from the council, and I'm sure he'll be looking to one of you, or maybe two of you, to serve on that committee with him as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them on the discussion that happened at Monday night or last night's meeting.
You want to give us an update on the 4-year term that we recommended?
Yeah, as well. The 4-year term was placed on for next council meeting, which is a November 10th council meeting, to be approved on and placed on the ballot. The 4-year term, I believe, if I recall, was recommended to be instituted in 2012. So it wouldn't be. They felt there was some confusion with the voting, in the sense that would the person be running for mayor be running for a 4-year term or 2-year term? If the decision was made at the same election, it would be difficult to identify which term they'd be running for. So putting it off till the next election, having the vote this election, but it wouldn't be instituted until the 2012 term started. So that was recommended to be placed on the ballot, and the city attorney will be coming November 10th with the necessary documentation to make that happen, or place that on the ballot.
If there are no further comments, this meeting will stand adjourned.